We've been talking, speaking, teaching, learning all month. Prayer, the science of spiritual alignment. So we want to continue that. And you see the readings here. One from Ephesians 6:12, and then one from Sojourner Truth. Just that one verse in Ephesians, New Testament says, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Maybe heard that one before. And then this other reading today comes from Sojourner Truth. Really very, very amazing woman, obviously been lifted up in history, and a fascinating biography too. One of the many things she said, I will not allow my life's light to be determined by the darkness around me. Speaking of, I'm the light of the world. I will not allow my life's light to be determined by the darkness around me. And those are good words right now. You know? How come life can feel like a struggle sometimes? And maybe now more than ever for people. And it's about we wrestle. I feel like I'm, wrestling my way through life. Sometimes I'm wrestling to make ends meet. Sometimes I'm wrestling just to get out of bed. And I got to wrestle to exercise, wrestle to have self-control and discipline, wrestle to be happy and stay happy, wrestle to get along with loved ones, wrestle to understand God's perfect will being played out in a current political climate. It's a wrestle, it's a struggle where I'm disputing over here, I'm persuading over here, I'm negotiating over here, I'm confronting over here. This word, when it says we wrestle, this is a Greek word that means to wrestle hand to hand, to combat, to fight, to push against something, to struggle with something. And that's what life seems to be about. I lifted up Ephesians 6:12. We wrestle not with flesh and blood, right, but with the principalities, with the powers. I started to include Ephesians 6:11, but then I said, see, no, religious science don't want to hear Ephesians 6:11. Okay, well, since you asked, I'll tell you. Ephesians 6:11 says, put on the whole armor of God that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. I like it myself. But I've known, it's good stuff, I've known some people who, when it says, put on the whole armor of God so you can stand up against the wiles of the devil or against the schemes of the devil. But then I heard folks say, well, I don't believe there is a devil. What'd you say? Okay, yeah. Okay. So as an entity, okay, lived backwards. Okay, yeah. So, but like you said, you don't believe in a devil. Pitchforks, red, tail. Right, exactly, that's what I said. Yeah, there is no, how could there be somebody with a pitchfork, red, with a tail, with horns, scheming on us, right? And then But hold on, I don't know about that. See, we're gonna get there. Maybe I'll talk for a while. We're gonna get there. I've heard this before. Love and light is all there is. Does that sound familiar? Love and light is all there is. I don't believe in a devil, the devil. When I hear love and light is all there is, it has a B and an S in it, what I call bypass. Yeah, it has an S in it though, I call bypass. We can't say, or I don't know, well, I won't say what we can and can't say, but I'm going to question that a bit. I'm gonna push back on that a bit. Love and light is all there is. What is light actually? Love and light is all there is. What is light? Light is electromagnetic radiation, right? Light is photons. There is visible light, what we can see, what comes out of these light bulbs, what allows us to see all the different colors. There's visible light, but then there's light that is beyond the scope of our eyes. Infrared light. So, it goes from red to violet, right? We know this. Infrared, once you get past red, every color has a certain wavelength, has a certain amount of light that it's absorbing and reflecting. That's what makes a color a color. This is blue because it's absorbing a certain amount of light and it's reflecting a certain amount of light. He got blue on too, but his is reflecting more light than mine is. And mine is absorbing more light than his. That's what all the colors are. So now that's between red and violet. You get beyond red, you got something called infrared. You go beyond violet, you got something called ultraviolet. Both of those are light, but the room could be pitch black and either one of those could burn your skin. They are light. Microwaves, you can't see them, but they're light. Radio waves, you can't see them, but they're light. X-rays, you can't see them, but they are light. We just have a scope of what we can see, but what is here. I would even go further and say, love is light. It is electromagnetic energy. We have our hearts pump and let out an electromagnetic field. And so if it's love, if it's truth, if it's healing, that is light. That's what we're talking about when we say walk in the light, right? That's good, right? Here's a question about light. You see these lights right here, a bunch of them up here. You see these, right? Here's my question. If I have a sink, if I stop up the sink and I turn the water on and I walk away, this is a tough one. What happens? The sink fills up, right? And then after a minute, there's more water than there was in the sink. And then after another minute, there's even more water in the sink. It continues to fill up. And if I let it keep going, it'll overflow. More and more water in the sink, right? We know that to be the case. Same thing with heat. If I turn the heat on in here and I let it go, after a while, I could say, oh, turn the heat off because it's nice and toasty in here, because the heat has radiated out. Same thing with water. After a while, okay, the bathtub is full now. We can turn the water on. Okay, the room is warm enough. We can turn the heat off right now, right? But what about light? Have you thought about this? Why is that not the case with light? This is electricity running through. It is shooting photons into the room. How come the room doesn't just keep getting brighter and brighter and brighter? And then I can say, after a while, I can say, okay, it's bright enough in here, we can turn the lights off. That's not the case. We lose it as soon as we turn the light off. So light is a thing, but have you ever thought about that? Why is that not the case? Why doesn't it just keep getting brighter and brighter? I mean, isn't the room filling up with light as we go? The reason is that light is absorbed. I said some of it is reflected and some of it is absorbed, but it's always absorbed. So here's my question: absorbed by what? I'm not so sure love and light is all there is. I don't know if light is all there is, if light is being absorbed by something. There's a reason why it doesn't just keep getting brighter and brighter in here. Something is sucking that light up and soaking it up, and to the point where you got to keep these lights on. And the second you turn your light off, you're in the dark. There is no extra heat radiating. There is no extra water reserve built up. You got to keep the light pumping. It's being absorbed by something. We all have a pulse. We all have, oh, well, before I can get to that, it is being absorbed by darkness. This thing said, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, we wrestle against spiritual, the forces of darkness. And then Sojourner Truth said, I got my light, I'm not going to let my light be put out by someone else's darkness, right? So now darkness is actually a thing. We all have this pulse, we all have this consciousness, we all have this brain activity, and that is a continuous electromagnetic flow. Just like the light is on, there's a continuous pulsation shooting out photons. As long as I'm living, I'm pumping out, yes, light, but it is being absorbed by something. Because this light is continuous, because I have a pulse, because my life is eternal, that makes me think, yeah, light and life, life and love, light is all there is. But the reason why we think light is all there is, the real fact of the matter, do you know everything that we consider matter in the universe? All the periodic tables, all the wood, all the gold, all the human beings, everything. It actually is made of light because it's made of electrons. This is what it is. It's energetic. This is all made of light. But the only thing is that this is all made of light. It really actually is. And we are, just sang the song, we are the light of the world. But we're the light of the world. Why does the world need light in it? Do you know that even just on a pure physics level, yes, light, love is light, grace is light, truth is light. You know, chairs are made of light. It's true. But do you know that all the energy and matter in the universe, this is what the scientists are saying, all the matter, all the weight of every planet, all the Himalayan rock salt, all of it together, that's only 5% of the universe. The universe is 5% light, 95% dark. Dark matter, dark energy. Even if you look out in space, you got little pinpricks of light, but the vast majority is dark. What is darkness then? Darkness is anywhere that light is blocked or absorbed, or where light fails to be emitted in the first place. So these lights right here, this light is being emitted, but if I take a piece of cardboard and put it over the light, we're in the dark because the light is blocked. Anywhere it's absorbed, blocked, or if it never was emitted. We all have a shadow. Your shadow is the part of you that is blocking the light. It's you, but it's the part of you that is blocking the light. What's the darkest place in the universe? You've heard of black holes, right? At least in a theoretical sense, they're learning more and more about these. That's the darkest place in the universe. A black hole. The gravity is so strong in a black hole that no light, which means no matter and no energy, nothing that we consider matter and energy, can escape it because the gravity is that strong. Everything gets sucked into a black hole. It gets stretched. The light, the matter, the energy, it gets stretched, it gets shredded, it gets ultimately absorbed, and then it creates something that the physicists call dark matter or dark energy. everything that we know of, including me and my heart and the fake plant and everything, this is all light matter. This is all that we know of and understand really to be. Why? Because this is all we can detect and see and know. If there ain't no light, how do we even know it's there? But now they've discovered, based off of how the gravity bends and when they're looking in space and all this stuff, we can talk about all that, that there is dark matter. There is light matter, but I can't say light and love is all there is. If I'm the light of the world, if light was really all there is, you don't need me to be extra kind and wise and loving because we just live in the light. But we are combating, we are wrestling with something here. Light versus dark. And I told you, even in the universe, it is 5% light, 95% dark. So that's the wrestle. So somewhere between, we got a black hole so dark that nothing can survive. Everything gets sucked into it and absorbed. Then we got stars and suns. And by the way, they said, hundreds of millions of black holes just in the Milky Way galaxy. They're discovering this. And the entire Milky Way spins around a giant black hole. All of these lights, all of these hundreds of billions of planets are spinning around one black hole. Can you see there's a relationship here between the light and the darkness? So you couldn't survive in a black hole, and you couldn't survive in the middle of the sun either. Being alive is somewhere of a mix of the light and the darkness. Being incarnated, you gotta have both. You have both. And according to the laws of physics, you might even have a lot more darkness than light. Now, that doesn't mean you're a bad person. It just means areas where the light is not reflected, areas where the light has been blocked or has been overly absorbed, right? So that's what I'm saying. When I say we wrestle not against flesh and blood, see, it's not about who you're arguing with. It's not about that. Really, the real competition is between my own light and my own darkness. But then what does the word competition mean? To compete. There is a competition between my light and my darkness. The real meaning of the word competition, it doesn't mean one is trying to destroy the other one, actually. What it means is that to compete is to strive together. Just think about this. If there's one bakery in town, they can do whatever they want. They can charge you what they want, they can do what they want. But now if there's two bakeries in town, there's competition. So now the second bakery says, well, we're going to use real butter and we're going to charge 15 cents less. Now everybody coming to the other bakery. So now this bakery says, well, we got to have buy one, get one free. They are in competition. They are striving together, and the people who are benefiting is us. Because they got to stay on their toes. They can't treat me any kind of way at this one because they got competition. That is what competition means. It means to strive together. So it is, when I say competitive, a lot of times we think it means adversarial, but what it means is two contrasting forces working together to make a greater good. Folks who love competition love it because, why? It brings out the best. And that sounds divine to me. So yes, I have to walk in the light. Yes, I have to keep the vibration. I gotta be in gratitude, but I'm doing it because I'm in competition with the dark. See, the light, the love, the truth, the goodness, that's only 5% of the universe. The dark that absorbs this light, and I choose not to be sucked into a black hole today, so I got to keep the light shining. Do you know that if it's pitch black and you light one match, pitch black, that you can see that match 3 miles away. Because if it's pitch black, think about it. Pitch black, I light one match. You can see it from 3 miles away. Now, of course, the bigger the fire is, the further you can see it. But one candle, right, lights can be seen for 3 miles. Let me look at this Ephesians 6:12 one more time. It says, we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. That's 4 things it says, and let's take a look at each of them. We're not wrestling with flesh and blood. We're wrestling with principalities, powers, rulers of darkness, spiritual wickedness in high places. Let's take a look. We're not wrestling with flesh and blood. We're wrestling with principalities. Have you ever had a conflict with another human being? Have you ever had a failure to communicate, a disagreement with another person? You have. Have you ever tried to talk to someone and no matter, after a while, if you're wise, you realize, I'm wasting my breath. This is particularly true when we're dealing with principalities. These are spiritual foundations. These are strongholds. Here's an example. If someone has anxiety, it doesn't do any good for you to say, would you just calm down, please? I'm not even talking to the person. I'm dealing with a whole principality called anxiety. Now, if I understand anxiety, same for depression, same for addiction. You know you need to stop drinking. I'm not talking to a person. I'm not wrestling with flesh and blood. There's an entire principality that I'm working with. So this is not something, as much as you might want to slap somebody, it probably won't do any good. Same thing with greed. Ever seen someone? They're greedy. You know, when is enough enough? I think you have enough. And they're, these are principalities. We're not wrestling with flesh and blood. See, but now, love and light is all there is. Yeah, right. Tell that to the depressed, anxious, bipolar, manic depressive, addicted personality. On their way to getting sucked all the way into the black hole. Only thing that stops you from getting sucked into the black hole as a star is if your light shines bright enough and you can stay far enough away from the actual black hole, you can keep shining. So we're not wrestling with people, we're wrestling with these principalities. Then it says we're wrestling with powers. Powers, according to Ephesians 6, these are earthly forces that have power delegated to them. I'm not wrestling with flesh and blood, I'm wrestling with powers. If you don't believe me, you know how, I noticed this in LA, we like to televise the car chases. Have you ever seen anybody actually get away from the car chase? Yeah. Okay. Maybe about what, 5%? Yeah, 3. 90+%, they are not escaping. Why? Because cops got the power. They do not have the ultimate power of the universe. They do have, this is what Ephesians is saying, power. We've given them power. They say you can't fight City Hall. We've given them power. You could try. Now, when the cop says you're under arrest, put your hands behind your back, you could try to wrestle with flesh and blood if you want to. They got power. We don't wrestle. But now, so that's why I got to call my lawyer. I got to play the game. I'm not wrestling with flesh and blood, or I got to live within the laws according to these powers that we are we're subject to. It's not about flesh and blood. Don't get mad at the messenger. Don't get mad at the police officer. You not pay taxes if you want to. You are going up against a power. And then when they come at you, you can say, oh, come on, man. We both black, man. Come on. You ain't gonna do it. We're not wrestling with flesh and blood. And sometimes we think it's flesh and blood that we're dealing with. We think I can just talk to a person. But see, we don't wrestle against flesh and blood. It's not even the person that you're talking to and working with, you know? Yeah, IRS agents, they're just human. You know, I don't think I like that tax collector's attitude. You know, you better learn to like it. You better learn to love it, love it. You know? Then it says, rulers of darkness. We're not wrestling with flesh and blood. We're wrestling with rulers of darkness. Have you noticed this, that America right now is, I say, as politically divided as it's ever been? And doesn't it feel like, well, to me it does, there's two sides. Pick your side. There's MAGA pickup trucks, shotguns, MAGA flags. This is all stereotype, but you know what I'm talking about, right? They're the Republicans. Then you got people of color, Black Lives Matter, actually care about humanity, right. That's the Democrats. And to the point, when your president gave the speech last week, it was so divided. Right? Now, I noticed this. If you identify with one side, you just know the side you're on is the light and the other side is the darkness. You just know, let's say you're a Democrat, that this is the right side. See, we fighting for people. We love people for real. We the one. They're the darkness over there. But do you know there are just as many, or if this election was real, more or just as many people who just know God has ordained this president for such a time as this, and y'all are in the dark. Now, I'll just ask you, well, which one is right? We are, right? Yeah, right. Yeah, that's right. We are. Yeah, right. Yeah. But do you understand that we are living in a plane where light is not all there is? Light is all that we can perceive. We are wrestling in this light and darkness with something called rulers of the darkness. What if I told you that there are many people? What if I told you there was one, but there are many who a year ago said, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give $1 million to Trump. I'm gonna give $1 million to Kamala. I don't care who wins. I wanna control the wealth. And if I control the wealth, I don't care who makes the laws. As a matter of fact, I wanna see some divide and conquer, because it's gonna be easy to sweep the whole table when they can't even agree with one another. System was set up, it's supposed to be two parties, it's supposed to be bicameral, right, all this stuff. But if we can't even see the light in one another, but we're talking about light is all there is, but I don't see light everywhere I go. How can I say love and light is all there is and then look at someone else as if they are not the light of the world too? We're wrestling. This is a intentional divide and conquer. And there are people So the competition is not against flesh and blood. It's not me versus you. It's not us versus them. It's not Democrat or Republican, but it's how can my own light shine in the darkness? Guess what? You put yourself on one political side or the other. Okay, I put myself on this political side. Guess what? This political side is 95% darkness according to the laws of physics. Who will let their light truly shine? There's much higher principles at stake than just do you understand? Politics is about material stuff. There's a pie, and whoever wins the election gets more say-so in how the pie is divided. It is a finite pie. It is a human, material, man-made, lucre-filled, greedy, mammonous pie. And the winner gets the pie. The winner gets the appropriations committee. The winner gets to decide who's going to get the check. The winner gets to... And you gonna play that game? You gonna wrestle? If I could just beat the damn Republicans one more time. We wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against spiritual wickedness in high places. I appreciate the high places because I got angels, right? In the high places. I got angels, I got ancestors, I got the Christ light beaming down. This is all from the high places. This is from the heavens, right? I got animal guides, I got spirit guides, I got all this. I got grace shining down on me from the high places. I got goodness. Now, if there's spiritual light in high places, you don't think there's spiritual wickedness in high places? Everybody, my angel this, my guardian angel that, that's 5%. The other 95% is dark matter. This is matter, right? Solid material. There is solid material just as much, 20 times more that is dark matter in this universe that we wrestling against. All right, so then what do we do? Like I said, in this electromagnetic field that we're in, let that light continue to shine. I lifted up Sojourner Truth. I don't know if you know this part of her life. She was, when she was a little girl, sold to a separate plantation from her mother. It's a few miles down the road. And so what did her mother do? Her mother would work all day in the fields, and then at night she would walk, I believe it was 6 miles, to where her child was, and would just rock her child to sleep. And then she had to get up before dawn, because nobody could find out what she was doing, and go back to her plantation, work a full day again. This was how she raised Sojourner. Born name was Isabella, by the way. It's just a good story. Real story. Do you think her mother knew who she was cultivating at that time? She was just letting her motherly light shine. Did she know that her daughter, especially enslaved, did she know her daughter was going to be the first, you're going to like this, first black woman to sue a white man and win? Counsel to presidents. Counsel when Frederick Douglass, there's a lot to her life. She let the air out of his tires in a real way. With wisdom. Did the mother know who she was cultivating at that time? No, she was just being a mom. She was just letting that motherly light shine. So that's all. What do? We continue to let the light shine. I said that one candle, pitch black, can be seen 3 miles away. Now, if I put a few more logs on that, you can see it from even further away. one human heart, we have an electromagnetic resonance frequency. It can be very easily measured 6-7 feet away. It actually exists, but like I said, now put a little more wood on the fire and it goes further. What is the wood? That is the prayer. That is the meditation. That is the love and light. Put a little bit more on, and now I'm going further. And as a matter of fact, I said that light could be detected by human eyes 3 miles away, one candle. But the fact of the matter is, the light extends out literally infinitely. It's just a question of, does someone have the means to perceive it or not? But it goes on and out forever. Same with us. Our power, our light, our electromagnetic radiation that God has given us, it stretches out, and it actually does stretch out to infinity. This is why then when you really, it says if 2 or 3 are gathered and on the same accord, it's really done. Because think, if mine stretches out 20 miles, which it does, yours stretches out 20 miles, which it does. Now, again, the more distractions, the more is absorbed by this world, the more is blocked by this world, the more of my own light that fails to even emit in the first place because of whatever reason, whatever I'm believing about myself or who I am or what it ain't or who they said I couldn't be. That's the only limit. But clearly, even if you don't detect it all the time, sometimes you pray and then I get out and say, did anything really happen? But just as sure as turning on a light switch that is attached to a source, there's much more light that we can't see than the light that we can. And just as sure as if it's hooked up and it's working and the bulb ain't burned out and I turn it on, it's working. Even if it's beyond my scope of vision. Same thing. As long as the heart is ticking, which it is, as long as it's connected to the source, last time I checked, I believe God is still God and I'm a part of that. You can't not pray. Do you understand? Every word, every thought is a prayer. Every word is a song. Every step is a dance. Striving, not against Negroes, not against white people, not against rich people, poor people, gay people, black people, but against, as a light, you are in competition with the darkness. The darkness ain't gonna give up. Just like I said, you got 2 bakeries. As long as neither one of them go out of business, we just competing. The darkness ain't going out of business. It's been around a long time. The light ain't going out of business either. As a matter of fact, the light is ready for an upgrade. The light is ready to re-intensify because the only limit to how bright it can shine is what the mind and consciousness dictate and imagine as possible, syncing up with the heart to put out light and love. Until one day, maybe it'll at least, that won't still be the case according to physics, but it may feel like in my world, in my reality, love and light is all there is. So in prayer, move on. So grateful to be a part of this vast universe, and everything has its yin and its yang to it. Everything has its complementary factors to it, including us as a part of this all. Realize that we speak and act. It's not to change somebody and make them do what we want them to do. It's not to just move money around. But when we speak, when we act, when we be, we are shifting the very fabric of reality. In the universe, 95% dark, we are that light of the world, to shine, to multiply, to illuminate, to warm, to glow. Grateful for the privilege of being a light in the darkness, the responsibility that comes with it, and the unlimited potential that embodies it. It's great gratitude. Amen, amen, amen. We want to try a song you may have heard. I don't think we've done it here before. It's real simple. Just let's stand, please, as you're able, as you're comfortable. It goes like this. All things are working for my good. God's intentional, never failing. I don't have to worry because it's working for me. It's working for me. God's intentional, God's intentional, God's intentional. That's it. I don't have to worry because it's working for me. It's working for me. It's working for me. Just try that. Well, I don't have to worry because it's working for me. It's working for me. It's working for me. Then we say all things are working for my good. All things are working for my good. God's intentional. God's intentional, never failing. Never failing. Try that. All things are working for my good. God's intentional, never failing. All things are working for my good. God's intentional, never failing. One more time. All things are working for my good. God's intentional, never failing. Never failing. God's intentional. God's intentional. That's it. God's intentional, never failing. Never failing. God's intentional. God's intentional. God's intentional. Never failing. I don't have to worry because it's working for me. It's working for me. It's working for me. I don't have to worry. I don't have to worry because it's working for me. And you, it's working for you. It's working for you. Let's do that again. I don't have to worry. I don't have to worry because it's working for us. It's working for us. It's working for us. I don't
I don't have to worry, 'cause it's working for us. It's working for us. It's working for us. God's intentional. God's intentional. God's intentional. God's intentional. Never failing. God's intentional. God's intentional. God's intentional. Never failing. Whoa. 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 I don't. All things are working for my good. God's intentional, never failing, never failing. All things are working for my good. God's intentional, never failing. All right, not bad for the first time. Okay.